Hi everyone, we're here with Charlie Barwis, who's a performance analysis intern at Millfield School. So today we've just been out on the pitch actually using the IP camera. So
yeah.
How was that for you?
It was a great experience actually. Yeah, it was really interesting to see how the IP camera works and be able to provide some fantastic footage, good height and easily captured straight into the laptops for the coding to be done this evening and be able to provide that feedback tomorrow morning. So.
Yeah.
Fantastic experience, really useful.
Okay, cool. So we're now warming up. We're in here. It's pretty cold out there.
Yeah, it was cold.
If you tell us and tell the guys about your previous experiences you've had in your journey of kind of getting to where you are now.
So I began like a lot of many analysts at Cardiff Met. I did my undergraduate degree in sport and physical education and came across performance analysis through my personal tutor. It was Darryl Cobner, and went in for a meeting one day and was exposed to sort of performance analysis at Cardiff Met and sort of grabbed my attention and something I thought I'd be interested in. So through doing the modules I undertook at second year and third year did the performance analysis modules. I did my dissertation in performance analysis, and in that environment I really sort of developed my sort of understanding of what the industry is and how it can be applied in areas. And I was then lucky enough to get a job at the Welsh Rugby Union and worked in the Premiership Bureau with there, and sort of under Cara Mifflin was able to sort of develop my skills in a more applied setting, which was great. So I worked with two teams there, working weekends, doing the sort of coding and the filming for them. I also did a little bit with Cardiff Blues, worked with their analysts, and from there managed to get the internship here at Millfield and sort of being able to build my sort of own little performance analysis world down here, which could, before I was here, there's a little bit going on, but from where we started and where we're moving, we've actually developed a whole long way in 12 weeks, so it's been exciting.
Okay, cool. So we'll obviously expand on the stuff you're doing here, but going back to you saying that you're at Cardiff Met, what do you think are some of the benefits of learning through the university?
I think, well, the facilities are fantastic there. I mean, with the labs, you've got access to a whole range of softwares to be able to, whether it's technique analysis or tactical analysis, and you have real opportunity to hone your skills on a variety of software. And then one of the better things there as well is you can be an analyst and work with one of the sports teams, so you can gain some applied experience. I didn't go that route, but there's a lot of good analysts out there who have worked with the rugby team or the hockey team or the football team and been able to use that base as a sort of platform to develop those skills. But I'd say that my biggest thing I got from it was being able to pick the brains of Darryl and Hugh and Adam as people to sort of gain some insight into the industry and gain their perspective on things and how it's moving. I think I learned a lot just by talking to them and really gaining understanding of what they do, and I think that's helped me develop my ideas about what performance analysis is and where it's going and where it can move forward as an industry. So I say the lecturers there are fantastic, and obviously you've got Pod who's doing a lot of research as well. Being able to be sort of go to his lectures, which are always a bit interesting, but certainly gave a real different insight onto the academic side of the discipline, which sometimes does get overlooked. So yeah, I'd say that for me was the biggest benefit. Okay,
cool. So obviously you're here now, so you've done successfully in your interview. Do you think there was anything which helped you stand out over candidates?
Well, I guess it's a question for a big man in there, but I suppose for me it'd be the vision I sort of probably sold them in my interview as where this place could go. I mean, there's 27 sports here at Millfield. As I mentioned before, there's a couple of sports kind of using a bit of performance analysis, but none to the level that I could see it going to. And I think for me that was what I tried to talk about, is where we could put it and where we can bring it into a variety of different sports and how it can be a positive effect in this environment. I mean, a lot of people may say, well, it's a school and these guys are busy with schoolwork and stuff like that, but Millfield's known for its sport, and to be able to work with the younger guys at this level, providing them some objective feedback about their performance and then visually being able to see it with a variety of tools like TPE, it's a great way for them to develop and us to be able to develop athletes who take ownership of their own performance. I mean, that's one thing I'm quite keen on, is those guys to take ownership of their performance and understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. So going back to the question, I'd say my vision for how we can incorporate performance analysis here was probably the reason I got the job.
Yeah, okay, cool. So with your vision, and you've kind of touched on some things you do there, you know, what parts of your vision can you see are happening now, and you know, kind of explain the current processes you've got now?
What I see now is we're able to provide objective feedback on a regular basis. We're able to share that footage and that feedback to coaches and to athletes. We use TPE as a platform, so we've got 9 sports. I mean, the list is there. There's 9 sports on TPE. They're able to engage online. The athletes or the guys, students will be able to go home. They can log on. They can see videos that are posted. Coaches are able to share information. So it's changing that culture of not just going to your coaching session and you're done and whatever. They can go back. It's able for them to review and reflect at a time that maybe suits them. So being able to introduce that into it has been a big culture change here. I think also educating the coaches has been one of the biggest things that I've tried to do. I gave a presentation last week to a coaches forum that we have here about what performance analysis is and the future direction here at Millfield. And some coaches are more on board than others. Some coaches really embrace it, and we've seen that. I mean, cricket and hockey and rugby have really gone leaps and bounds forward in the last 12 weeks, which has been fantastic for me as an analyst to work with these guys, because they're interested in how it can benefit them, and that's what it is. It needs to be coach-led. So the fact that it is coach-led and I'm able to pick their brains about it, we can see that. And using Naxport, we can do the analysis. I do the analysis, and we can easily upload that onto TPE. We've got AP Viewer in here now, which is a great way again of sharing that footage with the coaches, who can then reflect back in their own time at looking at, whether it's John Mallett looking at lineouts at 10 o'clock at night, or whether he's doing a session with the boys, he can easily show them that footage. So I think that's been the biggest change, is having it here, having it easily reviewed. And I think hopefully that's what I've brought with my skill set, is being able to make that as simple and easy as possible for them, rather than them having to work out how to use the camera and how to get it off and what do we do with it when we've got it. I think that's where I've had the biggest impact, is actually providing that, providing the infrastructure for them to develop their use of the analysis tools.
Yeah, okay, cool. So you've touched on some of the coaches that have perhaps the sports which have picked it up more and used it. So have you got any examples of the feedback you've had from those guys in the different, you've touched on the involvement levels?
Yeah, so for me it needs to be coach-led, and this term I've worked with rugby and hockey, and so I've made a real conscious effort to get into that environment and work with them. So the feedback I've had has been brilliant, because they've given me the information they want to take from performance. So when I do the coding, the code window is all built around what do you want to see, and what sort of things do we want to measure, how we can then relay that back to the athletes. So the feedback's been great, because I've been able to provide them that data or those videos that show them what they want to see easily, and they're able to share that with their players. And I think that's where the impact's been gained, is it's quick and it's simple, and that's positive for their coaching processes, really. So for me, I've had good feedback from the coaches I've worked with, and so far it's been very positive in how they see it moving forward.
So would you say you're, obviously we all know that coach-athlete relationships are pretty important things, and would you say that because you've been able to provide that service and them seeing the benefits of stuff has helped that, or is there something else which has kind of helped who you are, your personality?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think when I did my undergrad dissertation, the biggest attribute to come out of it, personal attribute to have, is communication skills. And I think I'm quite good with people. I possess quite good communication skills, and I've certainly tried to utilise them to really understand what the coaches are looking for and get into that coaching process. You don't want an analyst on the side who is seen as, yeah, he'll do this and he'll do that and that's it. I want to try and nestle myself into that coaching environment and provide them the information they need. I mean, I'm not a hockey coach, I'm not a rugby coach, but I'm having a positive effect on those coaches who that feeds back into the performance. So for me, building that coach-analyst relationship is about understanding what they want to see, and not what I want to do. I want to do this or I want to do that. It needs to be coach-led. So I've tried to just be myself and go in and provide that for them. I think they respect me. The fact that I've been able to deliver has helped obviously improve that. So they're happy and they respect what I do and they value what I do. So I think when you get that from a coach, it's actually it's rewarding because they take on your opinion and they help you. Like with hockey, I've never worked in hockey before yet. Now I understand what they're trying to do, and I can see it in practice. And when I watch back the games, I think, oh, that was brilliant, or not so good, what were they doing, type of thing. And that's great for me to be able to build that knowledge of the sport, because it can only help the coaches when I provide that feedback to them.
Okay, brilliant. So have you got any more plans or ways that you can facilitate those coaches, get more involvement for them, maybe pass on some of the processes?
Yeah, so one of the big things here, sort of my mission statement here, is to be able to provide objective feedback to a variety of sports, whether they be individual or team. And so obviously I'm one analyst, I'm the only analyst here, and it's not possible for me to film everything or code everything. So I think what I'd like to be able to do is actually educate the coaches so they're able to code some stuff live. I mean, there's developments with the app that NACSport are creating, where the coaches be able to code the game live, and we can link it back up to the footage. I think other things. Yeah. I think last time we discussed like you said, you're doing the objective analysis. That I think last time we were here, perhaps you give them that first draft of your breakdown, and it's for them going in and maybe adding more stuff or adding those specific notes and coaching knowledge in. Yeah. So I think we're able to do that a little bit with the AP viewer. I give that with the rugby. I give it to John Mallett, and John can then reflect on those clips. He can go back through them, and then he can say to me, okay, I want 5 line out, and he knows the numbers on them. I want them, and I want a bit of defence clip, and I can create a video for him, which then goes straight onto TPE. So there is a perfect example of the coach taking ownership of what he wants to be able to share with the athletes, and helps direct me, so it reduces my workflow because I know exactly what I need to do. And rather than him say, oh, just a few line out clips or a few defence clips, he's already reviewed it, so it's already relative to what his coaching point. It might inform a session in the near future. So for me that's great, and it helps me get it across. I think going forward we're looking to sort of put some IP cameras in across the school, so certainly that would help with the filming aspect of things, that if we can get games filmed when I'm not there, I can be utilised elsewhere and go and work in a different sport, knowing that that game's going to be filmed. Someone might be doing some live coding on the app, and it helps them as coaches, because now they've had it, like the coaches that have had it, they want more of it, and I can see myself, I'd like to get more in detail, more sort of develop myself as an analyst, trying to work out effectiveness, say, or something like that, efficiency, really looking more, delving deeper into individual performances or delving deeper into the team performances. But obviously trying to get across so many sports, we can't do that. Plus, is it relative to the athlete? We have to look at the age group, what sort of things are we giving to them what do they need. So for me it's exciting if we can get more coaches understanding the principles of performance analysis and how they can apply it in a practical setting, then we can my job becomes a lot easier. I can facilitate more of it, and it empowers them because it improves them. I think it improves them as a coach because they're seeing and they're able to provide a bit more objective feedback to their players.
Yeah, I'd like to pick up on something there, obviously, that you're saying because of the age groups of the students. I think you're in quite a unique, as we know, there's not much performance analysis at school levels, so I think you've got a really unique thing here.
Yeah.
So I suppose the question, because obviously they're used to the coach feeding back, so is it very much that you provide some resources, like you mentioned the example with John Matt, you provide the resources and then he delivers the feedback through TPE, or do you have experience of
I facilitate with the rugby. Most things that goes on TPE is through me, but obviously it's led from John, and their players are able to obviously access that and watch it back and that sort of thing. We also do we have review sessions, so the rugby team will have a review session on a Monday, and I've been to a few of them where I haven't had any direct input, but obviously it's the footage that I've created as put through, and the coaches talk over it. So I remember the first time I did it, John and Brim, who are the two first team rugby coaches, were so happy that it was relevant. The clips were all relevant, so rather than scanning through a whole hour and a half package of rugby match to go through and trawl, oh yeah, let's go back to this bit. All clips there have been pre-selected because they're relevant to what they're discussing, and that was great for me and gave me some real satisfaction that I'd improved that, because the boys were then watching it and they're not giggling because they want to go back and see one of their mates get thumped. They actually want they're actually learning from the visual of the video, and because of that they're a bit more engaged, a bit more focused. It just creates a little bit more of a professional environment for them. I mean, certainly those that go on to, got a few lads that are linked with academies, and those that go on will be expected to be take ownership of their performance through reviewing their own clips. So to be able to get them in at this level, understanding it when they move on, I hope that they'll sort of demand that of the next environment. So I certainly see that as a real benefit we're doing here.
Yeah. Okay. So you said the example of them not, mucking around with it. Have you had feedback that they feel it's a more professional environment, or has John said that it feels like that?
Yeah, I think I have had some real positive feedback that it's made it more relevant. The sessions are more relevant. So when they do a video session, it's more relevant. And we do the same with the hockey. I've done plenty of review sessions with the hockey, and the girls come in. There might be only 2 or 3 girls, but it's relevant. They're looking. Reggie, head coach or the director of hockey, is able to go, I want to look at looking at short corners. So put them all up. Okay, let's go through them. He's able to talk to them, and it's relevant. They can see what they want to see, and it does make the whole thing a bit more of a professional environment. And that feedback's transpired. I think John said that the rugby boys have taken much more ownership of what they're doing, and just being able to review themselves and have their own time to reflect on their own performance. He's seen gains on the pitch, which is fantastic for me to be able to say I was a part of.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And I think a nice thing today when we were before the game, unfortunately the result didn't go away.
No.
But before that, when we were walking around, there's lots of the different rugby team obviously coming up to you saying, "Hey Charlie, seen that video? That was great." Yeah.
So I did a motivational video for the boys before Sebra match this afternoon, and obviously it didn't work.
Well, no.
But yeah, it's great for me. Like I try to get to know the guys a bit. I mean, obviously as an analyst you can't be too close in some respects because you're the guy that's rating them in some degree. But at the same time, it's great for me to build the relationship with them, and it's nice when they come back. And with that video, I'd emailed the captain and the vice captain and sort of said, "Oh, what sort of songs do you want in the video?" Like, try and make it a bit more personal for them, something that means something to them. So again, building that relationship with them, that you kind of understand what they're looking for, and obviously everyone's a different individual, but as a team, what means stuff for them as a team, So far from the motivational video, they're all pretty. Well, you walked past about 3 guys came up to me and said, "Yeah, I really liked it."
Yeah, I think that was the point I was trying to, not the impact that your video had, but you know, that analyst to athlete relationship that you've picked up, and I like the fact that you emailed those guys and make it more personal.
Yeah, so I like to be able to feel like you get to know the guys, and I work with the hockey girls and the hockey boys, and I've got a really good relationship with all of them. And they often come and ask, "Oh, I want to see this," or "I want to see that," and how do you do this? They take a real interest in what I'm doing because they're obviously they get to see the benefits afterwards. So when we provide them the stat sheet and when we provide them the visual feedback of their performance, they understand the processes I've gone through and what it means for them, and they like that sort of. It's not just their coach telling them what they've done wrong. They've actually gone, "Oh yeah, look, I can see it now." Or, actually, look, we had, I don't know, we conceded 20 circle penetrations, and like, what are we doing, type thing. So it's really good for them to understand it, and it's good for me to be able to share it. I mean, obviously these guys are young, and some of them might want to be performance analysts. So I never knew about performance analysis until I went to university. I mean, these guys. Some of them are doing their A levels, some are obviously we start at year 9 here at the senior school, so some of them will go in and have a better understanding of this industry, and hopefully that can rub off a bit with them, that they understand what it is and how it works, and go, "Oh yeah, we've got a performance analyst." I mean, that's quite cool for them.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So what I want to move on, kind of, I think we started the video with looking at your stat sheet. We kind of just talked about it then.
Yeah.
Last time I was here, we discussed an action plan. So we were reflecting on where you are now, and we talked about some of the developments and processes you've got in place. I suppose I want to focus with your stat sheets and the clips you're providing. How is that something that you went to the guys and said, "Look, I've got experience with performance analysis. These are things we should look at," or was it, "What do you want to look at?"
So the first thing I sort of showed them was a stat sheet, a dashboard. Obviously on TV nowadays there's pie charts come up and stats and graphs, and it all looks very pretty, and people are quite impressed by that. So I used some of the examples that I'd done at university in my coursework. I'd used a few examples that the Welsh Rugby Union had, and sort of said, "Okay, this is what I'd like to create, this is what these guys are looking at." But as I said before, it was all coach led, so I said to them, what are the key performance indicators of your sport for you? What are you hoping to get out of it? And what information, if I could provide in a 1-page sheet after the match, would you want on it? And so we discussed with the coaches, and that's what we produced. So that's for rugby. They're the things that we've produced that some of them are taken across from my experience of them, some of them but they're all related to what the coach wants to see. So that's been really good for me to have that relationship with them, because then I know what I'm providing is relevant, rather than me just providing it because, "Oh, this is what the Welsh Rugby Union do, that's what we need to do here." Because you have to, like I said with the age groups, what's relative and what needs to be done. So that's what we created from it.
Yeah, that's good. I think a good word that's coming out throughout this is that relevance. You know, when you're saying about feedback, the sessions are relevant, they're more relevant now, your stats are relevant.
Yeah.
I think that's a real good...
And they will change. I mean, that's the thing with being an analyst. You work in a setup and then the coach might go, "Actually, we need to know this." And you change it, and then you need to be adaptable for it, don't you? And so this is relevant now, but next year might not be relevant. You might want to look at different things, or take some stuff like scrums and resets and lineouts are always going to be relevant to rugby's. But it's all about being adaptable at the same way, and having that relationship with the coach that allows him, or feels that he's allowed to, "Actually, Charlie, I don't need to know this anymore, or I don't think this is actually impacting anything. Let's look. Can we look at something else?" And that presents a challenge to me. Okay, let's change the code window. Let's change the stat output. But as long as it is relevant and it's having an impact on what they're doing, and that's the most important thing for my job, I see.
Okay, cool. So you touched on, you said they're a second year, and I know
nothing's
in place yet. We'll maybe keep our voice down with the big man in there. But if if you have those opportunities, I know from where you were in September to where you are now, I know there's been a huge progression, and we'll see obviously after Christmas you'll be doing more stuff.
Yeah.
Have you got specific plans in place that you think, right, we're doing this, I want to do that, etc.?
Yeah, I think, so obviously I touched upon the IP cameras.
Mm-hmm.
I'd really like to have a few IP cameras around the school. We're going to put one for the cricket. Hope we'll be ready for the season starting in April. I'd like to put a static one sort of around the hockey and the rugby, and maybe a bit on equestrian, and just start to put that infrastructure in place. And then for me, being able to continue to educate the coaches and empower them to feel they're able to use the software and they're able to use what we've got, and hopefully for them to integrate it more into their coaching process. I mean, I've only worked with 3 coaching teams, with boys and girls hockey and rugby. Next term is kind of a bit like starting again, because I'm going to be going to netball and football, so that's going to be a challenge in itself, and for me it will be back to the drawing board, getting back in and building those relationships with the coaches. But hopefully I'd love to be able to leave it in a place that it's functional. Coaches will be able to take control of it. I still think that you need an analyst. You maybe, I mean, I always say to David, well, you have got, Cardiff Met have got 3 analysts for the rugby team. So I always think about it in that. I think you do need the manpower, and I mean, I'd love to be able to have a, I guess an intern of my own that I can help develop, and also put them in a position where they're working in multi-sports. I mean, there's not many internships that offer multi-sports. I mean, it's a special place, Millfield, with 27 sports, guys competing at high levels. I mean, I'd like to do, I mean, we've got Matt James in tennis, who's also a Cardiff Met grad. He did his undergrad degree in performance analysis and stuff, and the modules. I'd love to be able to help him set up an environment in tennis which would improve them. So I mean, the possibilities are endless here, what you could do, but for me is being able to, the mission statement is being able to provide objective performance analysis and objective feedback, to a wide variety of sports. So if we can achieve that, and we're having an impact on their coaching, then I'll be happy. Yeah.
Okay. So you said there the goal of the school and your role is to provide that objective feedback. But did you set a personal goal, something you'd like to achieve before you started here, and is that still the same now, or has that changed?
I think it was a weird challenge coming here. I mean, because it was an internship, and with internships you normally expect to be working under a mentor, or someone who maybe has been 2 or 3 or 4, however many years in the industry, knows it very well and can develop you. But I knew there wasn't an analyst here. I mean, you got Mark Garraway, who's director of cricket, who was the English cricket analyst, but he predominantly is a coach, and a very good coach, and so he's kind of someone I can talk to about stuff. But he's come out of performance analysis sort of 6-7 years ago, and obviously the industry flies along, doesn't it? So things are constantly changing, and things have changed a lot since when he was doing it. But with here, it was a different challenge of sort of, okay, let's put in the infrastructure. There wasn't anything in before. I mean, simply filming is still an issue. How do we film? How can we film as many matches? That's where the IP camera becomes the solution. And so the goal still is to put a successful working infrastructure in that accommodates as many sports as possible. And we're starting to do that. We're starting to see that develop in the 12 weeks I've been here.
Yeah. Okay. So, would you say there's key things which have helped you, like different experiences or things which have helped you learn along the way?
Yeah. So since I came here, when I was at the Welsh Review with the Bureau, I mean, you predominantly filmed and you coded, and it was invaluable experience, and it was a great applied experience, but I always felt it was missing actually how do they get the information from the coding into a stat sheet, and how do they provide that back to the athlete, and what sort of input do they have with the coaches, and how do they go to session? You don't know that. You don't ever do that. So for me, it's been great to have to build that all and understand it. I mean, I've been lucky. I've had like really good support from you guys at AnalysisPro, and you and I have had plenty of conversations about how to do little things, just tiny little software things that I didn't have. You know, how do you compress a file? What software do you need? And how do you capture when you haven't got a firewire? And just coming up with solutions for that has made me develop as an analyst. I mean, I've got a really good relationship with Bath Rugby and Darren up there, and Matt, who's the academy analyst intern up there, who's at Cardiff as well. And we talk quite often, and Darren's helped me with Excel, and Matt's helped me with Excel and develop certain things. And so I went to Bishop Manby, had a day with the GB hockey analyst, and sort of saw what Ali was doing, and that showed me a different side of analysis, because the level of detail was one up from what we're doing here, probably even two up from what we're doing here, and that really got me thinking, how can I develop those sort of skills? So I've come on a really good journey in a short space of time, but the more people I visit and the more brains I get to pick, I can start piecing together, where do I want to be, what skills do I need to be able to provide a really, really good service to whoever I may work with in the future. So yeah, there's been lots of contributors. I certainly wouldn't be able to do this just on my own. I've been lucky with the people around me that have helped me develop.
Okay, cool. So maybe a question which others would be interested in as well, is there any advice you can give to maybe people looking at performance analysis internships? I know there's some things that we like to look out for with internships.
Yeah, I think internship, I looked at a lot of internships towards the back end of last year when I was graduating, and trying to see where I could move forward, and what do I want to do. Do I want to stay in the bureau, or what's going to help me develop as an analyst? And my dissertation gave me a lot of information about where the best way to come. And actually, I think of the 60 odd analysts or 50 odd analysts who did my dissertation, only 12.5% came through an internship. So they're not predominantly a method to go through, but obviously what they can provide is an invaluable experience of learning from a mentor in an applied setting, which is what you'd like to achieve. What often transpires, I think, is that you end up in an internship that you're just doing a lot of work. You're not getting paid very much for it, and how much development are you getting? I think I'm lucky here. I've got a fantastic internship here. I mean, David Faulkner, Director of Sport, has been great in setting up some experiences for me, and helping me develop as an analyst. But my advice for new guys coming into the industry is look at who you're going to be working with. What are they looking for? Are they looking for just someone to do some coding, or are they looking to develop you as an analyst? And I think that's my biggest advice. You want to be somewhere where you feel like what you're doing is valued, and you don't want to fall into a trap where you're working 60-hour weeks and actually you're not getting much out of it. And if you want to come out of it and feel like, am I ready for a full-time performance analysis job working at the high end of sport? And if you feel like you come out of it with no, then your internship's really failed you, hasn't it?
Yeah. That's some really good advice there. I think people will take that on board. You also talked about your dissertation in there, and I know you've written a blog and stuff on that, on the visual performance analysis side, but maybe give people just a brief overview of what your dissertation was doing, what you did through that, and some of the outcomes of that.
So the dissertation was about evaluating the current roles and development pathways for performance analysts. So we looked at, me and Darryl worked quite closely together on it. We looked at what is a performance analyst, firstly, because everyone's opinion on the role is different, and very much because it's coach-led, the coach's idea of a performance analyst varies. So what is an analyst? What skills do you need? What are the most important skills? And are they being developed, and if so, where are they being developed? So we looked at the academic institutions. I think there's 5 academic institutions in this country that provide performance analysis at a master's level, and I think now Cardiff Met are the first to put an undergraduate degree in performance analysis. And a lot of it centres around the academic side, the academic principles, and there's a lot of really good information to take from that, but how much of that can you take and can you apply in a working setting? My experience, the best part of the performance analysis modules at Cardiff Met for me were the courseworks where we had to create a workflow, and that, because that to me was applied, that's what I'd be doing on a day-to-day basis, and that's what's transpired here, that's what I do. How do you create that? How do you film, code, stats? How do you share that footage? That's what goes on. Sometimes academic institutions lean too much on the academic side of things and don't do enough on the applied. So I'd like to think what's come from it. I don't know whether this was planned or before or not, but obviously Cardiff Met are close to opening their outdoor lab, which is going to be a fantastic facility for new analysts on the undergrad and the postgrad course to be able to hone their skills in an applied setting, and that certainly wasn't something I had access to. Whether it's come from my dissertation, I don't know, but I'd like to think that maybe some of the findings from it have helped to push what Daryl and Hugh and Adam are doing there, and Lucy, in terms of where they're moving things forward, and they're looking at their syllabuses and okay, actually the findings of the study found that filming, just basic filming, how many people know how to film? Like, I've taught one lad here how to film and taken him 3 or 4 games, but he's now at a good level, which is great for me, because I can trust him film a game, there's no issues. But you give a 18-year-old a camera and tell them how to film a rugby match, they're not going to know. They need to develop, and they need that time in an applied setting to do so. So I think that's what Cardiff Met will provide there, and you'll get guys that will come out with applied skills that, so if they came and worked here, for instance, I could go, right, you're going to be filming hockey this afternoon, you know how to set up a camera, you know how to capture it, you know how to take that information back, and there's less emphasis on me having to train them on those skills, because I think that's what a lot of the responses from the analysts was, having to train people up because they weren't coming from an applied setting from university.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good, and hopefully that gets published and everyone can have a nice...
Yeah, it's been in the work. One of my personal goals up there is to get my paper published, and so I will be working towards that hopefully soon, and definitely like it for the findings to be sort of dispersed publicly a bit, and so people have an understanding of what it is.
Good luck with that. So I suppose the last but pretty important question is, how are you enjoying what you do?
Yes, it's a simple answer. I love what I do. I sort of, we do 6 days a week here, the school days 6 days a week, so I love it. I'm happy to do all the hours under the sun, because I enjoy the benefits I get from it when I watch the teams play and see how, and speak to the coaches, and they've said, yeah, you're doing a really good job, we're finding this really interesting, and the guys are responding and stuff like that, and for me that's really important. So as a job, I think you know when you found something you enjoy, and for me this is it. I mean, it's a brilliant, and plus being here at Millfield School's incredible. It's a far cry from where I did my education, but the facilities are amazing. So hopefully these guys, and it'll be interesting, it'd be great to say maybe in 5 years time, oh yeah, I worked with blah who's come out of Millfield and is now a professional rugby player or hockey player or tennis or whatever it may be. So if you have a little bit of an impact on their development, then it's fantastic, isn't it?
Well, that sounds really good, and it sounds obviously like you're enjoying it, and from my side, helping you out at the start, or kind of seeing where you were there and where you are now. It's not a question of the skills you've had, but you've been able to put those processes in. I think a big development from September to start of December now, and it's exciting to know that you can push that on and go onwards there. So.
Well, your input's been invaluable really in that, but it's been fantastic. When I look back at how far we've come, it's staggering to think would this be here
Nice
so
reflective things for you to
yeah, it is. I mean, Christmas break coming up, so it'll be nice to have a few days to myself to sort of look where we are and where we're going forward. But that's exactly it. It's where we're going forward. It's great that we've got it in now, but how do we keep pressing on, and how do we create this as a sort of environment where other schools, and I mean, we've had sort of county cricket clubs come in and be impressed with what we're doing in performance analysis, and for me that's amazing to think that actually they're not doing it at their level, yet we're above them at this level doing it. So it'd be really interesting to see where we can take it, and very exciting.
Of course, when you have your Christmas break and you do your reflections, you're going to write a nice big blog for me.
Yes, there will be a blog soon. I'm going to do a blog on, I'm going to link it with the findings of my dissertation about internships, and I'm going to talk a little bit about here and my experience so far of an internship, and maybe how it moves, how I found it, and how it's affected me in my development. So yeah, it'd be exciting for those who go on VPA to be able to have an insight into what goes on here a bit, and hopefully maybe pluck a few thoughts for other people and what they're doing is offering as an internship. That sort of thing.
Brilliant. Well, Charlie, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Catch up soon.
Perfect.
Thank you.